Welcome to Slaughterhouse Stories. I hope you enjoy the story I have for you tonight. People are right when they say life changes quickly. One moment, you're a 12-year-old boy, playing with a new toy your father got you from the Newcastle Road flea market. The next, you're covered in your parents' blood, chewing on the pieces of flesh you stripped off their body. I don't know what led up to this. Everything really was so normal. My father, Kevin, was a great, hard-working, fun, not too strict kind of guy. My mother, Cadence, was a work-from-home software tech who was never too busy to play with me or make me something to eat during the summer when I was out of school. They loved each other so much. There was almost never any sort of fighting. Then, Denise, the newborn baby sister, came home, and it felt like the family was complete. I don't know why it all went wrong. It was a regular Saturday in July. It was hot outside, but not too hot to play. The playground had the sprinklers on, so Mom took us down to play and cool off. I held on to Denise tightly as we went through the refreshingly cool water of the sprinkler. So much for the sunscreen Mom insisted we put on. We were walking back to the house just as Dad was parking the car. He had been off grocery shopping for the week, but apparently stopped by the new flea market that popped up on Newcastle Road last weekend. Dad would always do things like this. Stop off and buy something for everyone, just because he liked to see our faces when he surprised us. Mom got flowers like usual, and he had toys for us. One was a very creepy looking doll that I can't imagine is good for a baby, and the other was an old style fighter jet with a propeller and everything. Obviously, I went straight out to the yard and pretended like I was the greatest dog fighter in the history of war. At first I thought I was the Red Baron, but a better name popped into my head. The Bone Baron. Cool, right? Dinner time is when things got weird. We were sitting at the table, just eating spaghetti with cheese and bacon, and then the lights flickered. It was creepy, but also not surprising, considering every house in the neighborhood was running their air conditioners. But the little thuds and bangs would have nothing to do with that. The little doll sitting in the living room chair only added to the creepiness. Then, the lights went out completely. Ugh, it's going to be a hot night in the house. Mom went and lit some candles. Dad took the baby upstairs to put in her crib. I followed Dad upstairs because I had a lantern light that we could use. Dad got it for me as part of a hunting set. But when I went into my room, a fog sort of fell over me. I stood there for what felt like forever, staring into my dark room. Finally walking over to the hunting set, I grabbed the lantern and let the light fill the room. But I also grabbed the large hunting knife that was next to it. I don't know why I grabbed it. I don't know why I unsheathed it. My dad's voice was behind me, but it was cloudy, muffled. Hey buddy, let's get downstairs, and maybe we can build a fort and tell some stories like we're out camping. I turned and plunged the knife into his stomach. Blood immediately spewed from his mouth as he fell to his knees. The next one went directly into his heart. I stood there watching the life fade from his eyes, shock and fear and confusion on his face. I love you, Dad. I don't know why I'm doing this. I'm so sorry, Daddy. Please forgive me. I began hacking and stabbing uncontrollably. Pieces of skin and muscle littered my floor, resting in the pools of blood that poured from Dad. I picked up fistfuls and shoved them into my mouth. This was disgusting, horrific, but I couldn't stop. I chewed and ate those chunks of Dad like I'd never eaten before. I could hear Mom moving around downstairs and picked up my knife, screaming at myself in my head to stop this, but my body moved on. The knife stuck into her back, puncturing the lung so she couldn't even scream. She fell straight away, the candle she had been carrying landing on her arm. I put my weight down on her body. So she couldn't move. The sounds of her muffled voice and the smell of burning flesh filling the room. I don't know how many times I stabbed her. I couldn't count. I think she was already dead for most of them. I took the knife and cut out the chunk of her arm that had been burning. I bit into it with such fury. It tastes so much better when it's cooked. I'm sorry, Mom. I love you. I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't stop. Please forgive me. I went upstairs and got you out of your crib and brought you downstairs with me. My little baby sister. I'm supposed to protect you from the evils of this world, but I don't know what is wrong with me. I don't know why I'm telling you about everything that just happened. You're too young to understand. I guess I just needed something to do while waiting for the pot of water to boil. I'm so sorry, Denise. I love you. I don't know why I'm doing this. Please forgive me. But it really does taste so much better cooked. And with that, I dropped my screaming sister into the pot of water and waited, and waited, and waited. Cooking this way takes so long, but it really does taste so much better cooked. I finished my second dinner and turned to see what I'd done. My family gone. Dead. Why did I do this? I don't understand, but something heavy hit me in the back of the head, and I fell to the floor. I turned over and looked up. Standing over me was a man in an aviator uniform. Parts of his face were flayed down to the bone. No cheek on the one side, just teeth and bone, and an evil in his eyes. In his hand, the toy my father bought me. He raised it and hit me again and again and again, until darkness. I woke up in the hospital, surrounded by police and doctors, asking me if I knew what happened, if I'd seen the man that murdered my family and beat me nearly to death. I was amazed. I'm going to get away with it. That can't be. I opened my mouth to speak, but the aviator was in the corner, with a boned finger to his lips. I passed back out. When the room was empty, I opened my eyes, and he was leaning over me in bed, right next to my ear. I'm the Bone Baron, and we're going to have a lot of fun. That's it for tonight's story. But before we end things, check out the Slaughterhouse Stories podcast. Available at all your favorite podcast sites. So download and subscribe. Be a listener, not a victim. And as always, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed tonight's story, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay spooky.